On Two Wheels this week, Jeff takes a look back to the birth of the British bike on a trip to the National Motorcycle Museum. And Wayne goes behind the scenes of a motorcycle superstore. And there's a reminder about some important viewing information.
A British bike of the year 2000. But 100 years ago, things were not like this. This one's got everything, electronic gizmos, hydraulic disc brakes, you couldn't want more. But if you come with me on a little trip back in time, I'll show you how things started. So, motorbikes, but where to start? Well, how about 1898, and how about starting with this? It's a trike of all things. So if you thought trikes were new, think again. This one was actually made by a company called Dennis, more famous these days for fire engines, ambulances and even buses. You might have seen that Dennis sign on the front. But this was their first motorised transport. And look at it. In fact, it looks quite cool actually with these big tyres here. But at the back it's got a massive cast iron engine made by the French company, but in fact manufactured in Coventry, but it was Didier and design. But the thing that attracts you to this thing, all this nickel plating on the fuel tank, and look at all these levers here. You've got brake levers here, one brake lever which operates a little band brake on the actual wheels, another one which operates it round on the transmission shaft down there. But then you've got all these levers here. There's 4 levers here, one for a choke, another for the throttle, another one, when I get the right one, actually for a decompression lever, just there, hear it creaking away. And the other one was for the ignition, and it actually swings the whole ignition coil, the contact breaker assembly, around the crank down the bottom there. But an amazing piece of work. But not only that, if I can squeeze past this one, if you thought trikes are something new, what about quads? Because here is a quad, and this one was made by Royal Enfield. Look at that seat up the front. I can think of a few people I'd like to put in there. But again, great big engine at the back. And you might wonder why they actually made quads and trikes and not motorcycles. Well, that was because that engine was so damned heavy. They hadn't had bicycle frames then, and they just couldn't get a bicycle frame to take that sort of weight. Right, let's get on to motorbikes then. Now this one happens to be an Excelsior, but in 1902 when this came out, Triumph brought out their first bike as well. But we're going to have a look at this one because, to be quite frank, this one's easier to get to. Look at it, it is a big bicycle with a big engine in there. I don't know what the size of this engine is, but I'd say it's about a 350cc, but they always used to be measured in horsepower in those days. But just looking round it, you see this nickel plating again, which was a thing of the day, wooden handlebar grips. How about that for something different? Talk about customising. And again, you can see these throttle controls just the same as the other one, and they're all highly visible there where the air comes in, down the other side, down to the top here. They used to use what they called a surface carburettor there, which wasn't a carburettor as we know today. It just used to sort of suck petrol off the top of the pot. And there we've got the spark plug in the side there. Look at this exhaust pipe here. Look at that for an end can, eh? They even had sports end cans then. But that's the engine. Ignition system, again, you could move it round the crankshaft just like that to give you your automatic, well not automatic, your manual advance and retard. Brake levers here. Now on the front brake, it's just got a stirrup front brake, and in fact, to be honest, the back one's very, very similar. But if I get the right lever, there it is, just like a bicycle, in fact an early bicycle, but wouldn't stop you very well. What else have we got? Over here, a little decompressor lever. Because the way of starting this one, you used to pedal like mad with this pedal as you went down the road, hold that little decompressor lever up, which as you can see here, held the valve open, and it allowed the engine to turn over then, and then when you got to the required speed, let go, and away it went. With a bit of luck, it fired up. But before I leave this one, see this petrol tank in here, this little compartment. A battery used to live in there, and there's the coil, the ignition system. It all looks a bit rotten, but that shows it's a genuine tool, doesn't it, eh? So early battery ignition. But, don't fancy the saddle much, mind you, on this one. Now I know we said we'd gone on to bikes, but we're still in 1902, but I just couldn't walk past this one. As I say, still 1902, and this is the Century 4 car. The passenger there sits actually in the front of the driver. But what you might be saying, what do I do with my hands? There's no steering wheel here, but I'll tell you what there is. There's a water tank here for the radiator, which you can keep your hands nice and warm. But what on earth do you do to steer it? See this lever? This is what you use. It's just like a tank. Literally, on the tank track, you just pull this lever backwards and forwards, and the front wheels move, or they would do if we were rolling forward. Absolutely amazing thing. And if you weren't busy enough with that, you've got another lever on the left-hand side which operates a clutch. Down here, there's 2 levers just for the carburettor. Left-hand one with a lovely little ratchet. There it goes. that operates the air, and the other one on the other side actually operates the fuel. So there's two levers to juggle with there. What else have we got? There's another ignition advance one on the top here. There's a little valve, there's a decompression lever there. What else have we got? A band brake down the back there. You've got a foot lever here for the brake, so at least you've got something to do with your feet. And one other thing that you've got here, you haven't got a horn as such, but you've got a bell. Look at this. When it goes, there it goes. How about that? All aboard. What an absolutely amazing contraption. Back to bikes then, and by 1906 we're starting to see some further developments. See these big swoopy bars coming well back here. I've even got my feet forward here, real cruiser style. But up on the bars, the air levers and throttle levers have now been moved up here, not down on the tank. I've got a foot operated lever here for the rear brake, so that's pretty cool. And down here, see this belt? This belt is still canvas construction, but it's actually made up of links, very much like a chain, which means as the belt wore, you could actually adjust it for its length. So there's another bit of sophistication for it. And down the front there is the first suspension that I've seen on these bikes, spring suspension with a little linkage set up. So someone's taking the shocks out of the front there. And next to me here is a Royal Enfield. That's got a spring down the front here with this nice linkage, gives you a more comfortable ride. And then here's a lovely name for you, a Lincoln Elk, and that's got suspension as well, all beautifully plated there. And something else that strikes me, looking at all these three bikes, green was obviously the colour of the early 1900s. But innovation was the name of the game, and if you thought Ducati had a monopoly on 90-degree V-twins, think again, because this Premier of 1909 was a V-twin, 548cc. And also they've modified the front suspension. They've got another set of springs, a lower set and an upper set. Super, super comfortable. Now, talking of smooth rides, what about this for a seat? But it's not just the seat. On this beautiful Wilkinson, it's got a 4-cylinder water-cooled engine. And not only that, it's a shaft drive too. And Wilkinson, by the way, are the same people who make the Razors today. And this was back in 1912. And look, it's even got leaf-springing rear suspension. Now, while people like Wilkinson were concentrating on making very sophisticated motorcycles, we come to something like this Rudge Multi. In fact, it's got virtually no suspension at all, just a little spring up the front end. But what it has got, the Rudge Multi, meant that it was multi-speed. Very, very clever. See this lever here on the tank with the ratchet down the back here? Won't move far because it's stationary. But this lever actually moves a pulley, the two halves of a pulley in and out, which means the belt can either be down there where it is or up on the top end. So it alters the actual speed of the belt between the engine and the back wheel. There's a linkage under there which correspondingly alters the distance of these two halves of the pulley apart, so the belt always remains in the same tension. And what you've got there is an automatic transmission, multi-variable speed from I think about 3:1 to 7.5:1, just like a modern scooter. Very, very clever. This was in 1913. Now, something common to all bikes of this era, and no, it's not me, but it's an oil pump, because on these they didn't have an engine-driven oil pump. They actually had a little pump on the petrol tank, and the oil pumper was you, because what you had to do was undo the little catch there, pull this plunger up. Unfortunately, this one's a bit stiff, and pump this up and down, because what you had was a split petrol tank. Petrol that side, oil this side, pump this up, get the pressure, adjust this little gauge on the top here, and then you'd see in the sight glass so many drips a minute of oil going through to your engine. So you imagine keeping your eye on that. You needed a light on that. But talking about lighting, nice little link that there. See this lot? This is acetylene lighting, and that was used by using calcium carbide. And you put that in this gas generator here, little block of calcium carbide, filled it up with water, and when water drips onto calcium carbide, it gives off acetylene gas. So what, you might say? Well, that comes through a little pipe here to the front and the back light, and in here you can actually see it's not a wick, but it's a little gas burner. And believe it or not, once you generated the gas, or you thought you had, you actually sniffed it, is it going or not, lit it, big puff of smoke or light or whatever, closed it, and off you went on your way with a bit of luck, and you had a brilliant white light. But perhaps even more sophistication came in 1915, because here on this new Hudson we had the first electric lighting set up. Not much to say about it other than it's actually there, made by old Joseph Lucas in those days. But the interesting thing is it actually cost you £7 as an extra. Now £7 was a craftsman's wages for a month, and so that's a lot of money. It's probably about 1,500 quid, 1,500 quid for an extra. So perhaps it's no surprise that electrical lighting didn't become standard on bikes until the mid-30s. Now there's absolutely loads of bikes here, and all we've really done is just scratch the surface of the British bike history. But really these have just been overblown bicycles. Might sound a bit cruel, but when you think of it, it's been a big engine in a very big bicycle frame. And in fact it wasn't until the 1930s that something beautiful like this Brough Superior came along. But unfortunately you're going to have to wait until a future programme until we can see more of things like this.
This week on Two Wheels, we've decided to come to a motorcycle shop to give you a whistle-stop tour around the bike shop, the various different departments, the clothing, the service department and so on. We've actually come to Millennium Motorcycles in St Helens. It's a lovely shop, so first thing you do is obviously you take a look at the bikes. And I found the bike of my dreams as I walked around the showroom. Here it is, this Aprilia RSV. And in this case, it's a second-hand machine, and it's got this fantastic exhaust system coming out the back here, 2 cans, gorgeous one-off system. But as it is a second-hand machine, I want to know a little bit more about it. I also want to know about the payment schemes that we can have when buying a bike. So the answer is to go find a salesman. And that's what I need to do. I also need a salesman in this case to tell me how many miles it's got on the clock, because digital display doesn't show it. Ah, John, the salesman. How you doing, mate?
Hi, Wayne.
All right.
How can I help you?
Listen, I found a bike downstairs that is just my thing.
Yeah.
I need it. It's that Aprilia second-hand meal. Can you do me a deal on it?
I sure can.
Oh, we've got a salesman. Come on, mate. Hey, this is very nice. Things have improved since I last bought a bike, I can tell you. This is nicer than my lounge at home, this. So, let me ask you the regular questions that people must ask you. First of all, if I do fancy that Aprilia, how about paying for it? What sort of methods?
There's several different methods of paying for a bike nowadays, Wayne. There's good old traditional cash, everybody's favourite credit card, and flexible finance plans.
Yeah. Do you honestly get people wanting to pay on the old credit card?
We do, yeah.
Do you really? On
Yeah.
big bike, on very expensive stuff as well?
It tends to be mostly the scooters for credit cards, but...
A couple of £1,000 or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so we've sussed out the fact that there's various different payment plans. What about the extra costs? I mean, you know, is a second-hand bike going to cost me more on finance, for example, with interest, than these fancy new deals that are going around at the moment? 0%, for example.
The 0% deals tend to be subsidised by the manufacturers on new bikes.
Yeah.
So there is some truth in saying a used bike will cost you a little bit more.
Yeah. What about warranty, for example, on say that RSV, it's second-hand?
Yeah, the Miele downstairs would have 26 months warranty still left on it. Aprilia offer three months unlimited mileage warranty on all their machines. But if it was, for example, say a used CBR 600, all machines come with standard 3-month warranty, parts and labour free of charge, but you can upgrade to 12 months for a small fee.
All right, so you can boost it up to a longer period. What about on new machines? Because Aprilia have 3 years now, don't they?
That's
good,
correct.
that, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about the other manufacturers? What do they give?
The other manufacturers offer 24 months unlimited mileage warranty and tie-ins with the breakdown schemes, i.e. AA and the RAC.
Yeah. Excellent. Right then, so I've chose the bike. You are going to work out a payment plan for me to buy it. It doesn't stop at that though, does it, unfortunately, because I need a bit of kit.
You do, yeah?
Yeah.
You're looking to new machines, so you're going to want to be kitted out in probably similar colours, you know, to the machine.
Yeah.
So if you'd like me to show you now where the clothing and accessories department is.
That would do ideally, and I'll go and get
kitted
my
out.
inside leg measure there. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
That's a nice bit of kit. Excuse me, mate, can you give me some help? What a dummy, he's not even... Come on, answer me. Nah, never mind. Been stood here 3 hours, this fella, not done a bit of work. But he does look very smart. But what I really want is a salesman who can assist me with this kit to go with my bike. And here's the man himself.
Hey, Wayne,
all right,
mate.
Jason, yourself?
Yeah, not so bad.
Good.
Not so bad.
This kit here just
Yeah.
happens to suit me.
Yeah.
In respect that it's textile gear and it will suit the bike that I fancy.
Right.
Which I've seen downstairs.
Okay.
This Aprilia. Now, the guy downstairs, John, reckons that if I wanted to, I can put a whole package of gear on the finance.
Yeah.
Is that a regular request? Do you get people asking this all the time?
Wayne, all the time. They're always coming in and asking for that. Not a problem, yeah. We could do it. You could do your winter kit if you want. You can have your summer kit. You can get your leather suits, anything.
Whatever. And you
Whatever
can
you want, mate.
So do you liaise then with the salesman in the shop and work out, and presumably they might even do a deal with the customer, so you've obviously got to work something out with them?
Yeah, certainly, yeah. We'll be doing that, yeah.
How do you find, what sort of questions do people ask you? Are they very demanding nowadays, people who want to buy kit?
Some people are, yeah. They do. They're interested in what they're buying because it's not the cheapest of products nowadays. You know?
No.
It's not the cheapest. So
and you've got to buy good gear, haven't you? Really?
You've got to buy the good gear, because it's better for you in the long run. You know.
Yeah. I mean, to buy a bike, obviously, can take a couple of hours. You've got forms to fill in and so on and so forth. You've got negotiations on prices. You've got insurance to consider. Buying gear is underestimated, isn't it? I mean, a lot of people think, oh, a helmet, that'll do nicely, thanks very much. But you've got to give information on a helmet, information on the textile gear, leather and so on. You must spend an awful lot of time.
We like to spend a lot of time with the customers. We really do. You've got to, really, because if the customer's here all day, we want to be all day with them. You know, we want to spend all day with them. Because like I said, because it is expensive, they want to get the right stuff and we want to point them in the right direction. And that's what we're here for. That's all we're here for. You know?
Information.
Information,
yeah. And nowadays, with machinery going as quick as it can do, potentially as quick, and of course, I was going to say, I mean, quick machinery means they need very clever technical gear. But in the same respect, a scooter user or a commuter, he needs the right gear, obviously, for being out in all weathers. So what happens there? They come in, they might say to you, I want a nice leather jacket for my fancy bike. You've obviously got to consider what they're going to use it for.
Well, what I would do, I would ask them when that, you know, what you're going to use it for, what you're going to use the scooter for, you know, and then let's point them in that direction. You know, if they're going to use it in all weathers, they need all weather gear, really. You know, it's fine having leather, not a problem, but we need to ask them that question. That's what we do, but that's why we spend the time with them.
I can imagine it's quite hard work, really, and you have to know your stuff. I know that from my own business, that people are very demanding. What about, I mean, I touch on this subject quite often when I go places, what about light refreshment? Because this job's very difficult. I'm feeling very parched. Do we have the facilities to sort me out with a cup of tea?
We certainly do, Wayne. When people want to consider, you know, what they're about to purchase, we say, well, go and have a brew in the bistro.
Do you? You send them downstairs, get in the bistro, have a brew, think about it.
Have a think.
And come back up and
finalise
the deal. Right, well, I'm going to go think about it and have a brew. Thanks very much indeed, mate.
We'll see you again.
Beautiful. I did get me drink in the end, a lovely cup of tea. But it's not the only thing you can have here. You can have absolutely everything in the Biker's Bistro. We can have a yam sausage sizzler, the Honda Works, Biker's Breakfast. You can even have leather jackets, which is obviously baked potato. You name it, you can have it. It's a great place to come and think about the products you fancy buying in the clothing and accessory department, or even the bike you fancy buying. You could even get a pen and paper and work out your figures. But there is an even better place to come and stew things over, or even relax. I'll show you. Marvellous. I told you I'd find somewhere even more relaxing. This is fantastic. This is a layout, probably be better than a 4-star hotel lounge. It's fantastic. So you can come here and relax after you've made your healthy decision on what bike you're going to buy and the bits you're going to get. You can even watch television. You can even watch the GPs or the superbikes at weekend amongst a biking atmosphere in lovely, luxurious conditions. Anyway, it's time for me to relax now. I'm going to catch up on a bit of news and you can shove off. Right, I want you to forget Jeff's useful tips bit, all right? This is Wayne's useful tip bit. This is Wayne's useful tip bits for these. An analogue satellite dish. I've got some great ideas to what you can use this for. Now you could use it for a wheel trim if somebody's already nicked yours, because it fits, or maybe not. Now if it's snowing in your region at the moment, you might want to use one as an umbrella, like that. Oh dear, it's got holes in, maybe not. Now I've got an absolutely fantastic idea, because you could use this as a sledge. Or maybe not. Now then, with a micro scooter and a satellite analog dish, you could indeed form a stunt. This could be used as the wall of death. Because, or maybe not. Kids, be careful, don't do this at home. It could be dangerous. So what am I cattling on about, you ask, eh? Well, fun over now, the serious bit. I do like to be serious. This, an analog satellite dish, is indeed redundant. We need to make room for one of these, a digital system, and any other form of digital system, because soon, that is in February, the old Two Wheels programme and the Millennium Motors setup is going to be on digital. So you need some form of digital reception and receiver. And also, just for those people out there who do whinge a bit whenever they meet Paul, Jeff and myself and say, when's Two Wheels going to be on? A bit earlier. Well, we've sorted the job out for you, because as in February when it goes on digital, then you'll be able to view Two Wheels at 10:30 on a Sunday evening and again at 9:30 on a Wednesday evening. So we've tried to accommodate everything, better programmes on digital at better times. What more could you ask for? Now I need to just move on a bit here because I've got to finish off a job that I started earlier. I wish you all the best of viewing for the new year. Happy New Year. Oh shit. Oh, I want to finish it off. Oh.
And on Two Wheels next week, Jeff continues his look at British bikes through the years, and Wayne and I take a look at some amazing Street Fighter style machines at this year's Manchester Bike Show.